Om Namo Narayana, welcome back. Today we are reading the Trishiki Brahmana Upanishad. So this is one of the Upanishads that has missing sections, and there's two parts that are missing, and I'll let you know when we get there. A Brahmin called Trishiki Brahmana went to the land of the sun god and asked, O God, what is body, what is soul, what is the cause, and what is Atma? The sun god replied, You have to realize that all this is Shiva, because only Shiva is ever clean, who is devoid of any blemishes, and who is everywhere, and for whom there is no second. He is the only one who creates everything by his light, and similar to the fire appearing in different forms on different pieces of steel, he appears in different forms. If you ask to what he gives light, the answer would be Brahman, which is denoted by the word Sath, and which is merged with ignorance and illusion. That Brahman gave rise to that which is not clear. That which is not clear gave rise to Mahat. Mahat gave rise to egotism. Egotism gave rise to the five Tanmatras. Those five Tanmatras gave rise to the five Buddhis: earth, water, fire, air, water, and ether. Ether is consciousness, that being the mind, wisdom, self will, and egoism. Air is samana, udana, vayana, apana, and prana, which are the airs in the body. Fire is ears, skin, eyes, tongue, and nose. The concept of water is feelings of sound, touch, view, taste, and smell. Earth is words, hands, legs, and other physical organs. Ether, which is the concept of wisdom, is decision, behavior, and self-esteem. The actions related to air are uniting, changing of places, taking, hearing, and breathing. The actions related to fire are the feeling of touch, sight, taste, view, and sound. These also depend on water. The actions related to earth are talking, giving, taking, going, and coming. The actions of the prana, tanmatra, or the symbolic soul, are the organs for doing work and the organs for earning wisdom. Egoism is limited to mind, brain, and the will to do. The micro aspects of the symbolic soul are giving place, scattering, seeing, uniting, and being firm. These 12 are the aspects of philosophy, early concept of godliness, and early concepts of physical existence. Chandra, Brahma, directions, air, sun, Varuna, Aswini, Devas, fire, Indra, Upendra, Prajapati, and Yama are the gods of the organs and senses who travel like a soul in these 12 aspects. So slokas 2 and 3 are missing. From there, earth came into existence, embracing one thing with the other, pervading by crisscross connections, step by step, as the result of Panksha Buddhas, that being the 5 aspects of earth, air, water, fire, and ether, and thus gained life. In that earth, plants, climbers, food, and the 4 types of body centers arose. The root sections of the body are taste, blood, flesh, fat, bones, nerves, and semen. Some pindas arose because of their own interaction, and some pindas arose because of the interaction of Panksha Bhutas. In this, that Panksha is called Annamayan, and it is in the area of the belly. In the middle of this belly is the heart, which is like a lotus flower with its stalk. The gods for management, egoism, and action are in there. The seed for this is the baser qualities, which are passion-oriented and solidified, as in they don't move or change. This is the world with its varied nature and is situated on the neck. The inside-looking happy soul is on the summit of the head and is situated on the Paramapata place. This is in its earth-like form and shines with great strength. The state of awakening is everywhere. The state of dream is also there in the state of wakefulness. The state of sleep and the state of higher knowledge is not there in other states. Similar to the taste pervading in all parts of a good fruit, Shiva Shakti pervades everywhere. Similarly, all areas of the body are within Annamaya Kosha. Similar to the kosham is the soul. similar to the soul, is Shiva. The living being is one with feelings. Shiva is one without feelings. The koshas are the places of feelings of living being, and they give rise to states of existence. Similar to the fact that the churning of water produces ripples and foam, from the churning of the mind come several painful thoughts being produced. By performing duties, the living being becomes the slave to those duties. By forsaking them, he attains peace. He becomes one who sees the world in the southern path. The living being with egoism and self-esteem is indeed Sadashiva. The living being attains that type of illusion because of his company with the ignorant soul. He attains hundreds of yanis and stays there because of familiarity. Like a fish traveling in between the banks of a river, he keeps on traveling till he attains salvation. Over the passage of time, due to the wisdom of the knowledge of the soul, he turns on the northern path and step by step goes up. When he is able to send his soul power to his head and does permanent practice of yoga, he gets wisdom. Because of wisdom, his yoga acts. Once yoga and wisdom become stable in him, he becomes a yogi. He will never be destroyed. He would see Lord Shiva in his deficiencies and will not see deficiencies in Lord Shiva. To get results of yoga, it has to be done without any other thought. Without practice, you will not succeed in yoga or wisdom. The yogi will not get the results out of these also. So by the practice of yoga, mind and soul should be controlled. The yogi should cut off the problems in yoga similar to the cutting of material with a sharp knife. So next, slokas 23 to 145 are missing. And for anyone who's wondering, I have double-checked these and they're missing in every translation. With pure knowledge of soul, the sensory organs should be controlled. We should always meditate on the Para Vasudeva, who is the greatest soul. Kaivalya is attained by the selected and sorted form of meditation on shape and form. If a yogi is able to meditate at least for a small time on Vasudeva while he is in the Kumbhaka stage of pranayama, the sins that he has done in 7 births will be destroyed. You have to understand that the portion from the belly to the heart is the wakeful action. In the neck there exists the action of the dream. In between the jaws exists the sleep. Thuriya exists in between the eyelids. That action of synthesis with Para Brahman, which is much above Thuriya, exists in the skull and the top middle, called Brahmaranda. There, in the foremost Thuriya center of the Thuriya, the soul is called Vishnu. When one meditates in the very pure Paramakasa, he should meditate on that Adhokshaja who shines forever with the light of crores of suns, as sitting in the lotus of his own heart. Otherwise, he has to meditate on that Visvarupi, who has several forms, several faces, several planks with several armaments, several eyes which shine like the crores of suns, several colors, and who is peaceful and also very angry. All the mental preoccupations of a yogi who meditates in such a manner will be completely calmed down. That yogi who meditates on that indestructible matter which shines like God's grace in the center of the heart, on that ultimate truth which is beyond Thuriya, on that sun who is the form of wisdom which is immeasurable and unending, on that being who is like a shining lamp in a windless place, and on that being who is like the shine of unprocessed gems, would have salvation in his grip. To that yogi who is able to see and experience the shine of that Deva with the universal macro or micro form, or at least a small portion of him in his lotus-like heart, all the occult powers like Anima would be very much within his reach. One has to understand that the realization of the universal truth of the universe, of the unity of the soul and God, which is that I am Brahman and Brahman is me, is the real state of samadhi. That man becomes Brahman, and he does not take another birth. The one who examines such principles with detachment becomes like a fire without wood, and becomes one with himself. Since his mind and soul does not have anything to get attached to, he becomes stable in the form of wisdom, and his soul melts like a piece of salt, and he merges into the sea of pure consciousness. He sees the world, which is a thing of passion and magic, like a dream. In that natural state, that yogi stands without changing as him to himself and attains the nude form in his sleep and attains salvation. There we have an Advaita Vedanta text. I would like to make one note when it says salvation. Um, Please do not confuse this with the salvation of Jesus Christ. I actually think the word salvation is wrong because it has such a heavy cultural connotation. In its basic form, salvation doesn't necessarily have any religious connotations. But when we say the word salvation in this era, we always think of Jesus Christ and he saved us on the cross. And that is completely different than the salvation we find in Hinduism. The salvation here is just sort of a solution to a problem, not someone dying. I just think we should stop using the word salvation because I've literally seen people say, well, Hinduism has salvation, and that is proof that, Jesus died on the cross. Or I see people say, and these are missionaries trying to convert, but have you found salvation? Because you know Jesus. We're not looking for salvation in the way you think we are. So go away. Be quiet. So I don't like that word. So I just want to make that clarification. When it says attain salvation, this is not the same as Jesus. It has nothing to do with Jesus and nothing to do with Christianity. It doesn't even allude to that. It's completely nothing. I just that just bothers me. Translation is I can't speak here. Translation issues bother me all the time, but no one should be surprised by that who watches this or studies a lot of scriptures. That is a big deal, and sometimes I wonder if we have such translations issues out there that we may not even be aware of, that we're actually not even spouting the correct thing. Like there could be things here I'm reading that aren't even correct. I sometimes worry about that. That we're literally reading a completely different text because it's just been so poorly translated and the meaning is just now seriously clouded or lost or something. Anyways, that's like a topic for another show. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, Shai Krish. Thank you for joining me.